building a better Bay Area, moving forward, finding solutions. This is ABC 7 News.
Hi there, I'm Kristen Z. You're watching Getting Answers live on ABC 7, Hulu Live, and wherever you stream. We ask experts your questions every day at 3 to get answers for you in real time. Today, we're getting into the holiday spirit with a Netflix film that was shot right here in Northern California. We'll talk with the producer of A California Christmas a little later in the show. But first, there are always a lot of headlines about COVID to cover. The CDC has signed off on Pfizer booster shots for older teens. And one Bay Area county is now tightening its mask rules as cases climb, even amongst those who are vaccinated. So joining us now to discuss all this and answer your COVID questions is ABC 7 special correspondent, Dr. Alok Patel. Dr. Patel, happy Friday to you.
Kristen, happy Friday to you as well. It is good to digitally see you.
Yes, it is good to see you too. What is that pin? We always want to know.
Oh, so this pin, I would play games and have people try to figure it out, but this is Maggie Simpson wearing her snowsuit, and it looks like an orange star.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a nerdy, diehard Simpsons fan.
You sure are, and we love that. Let's see if we can earn a gold star in terms of paying attention to COVID news this week. I know you have a round of Two Truths and a Lie prepared for us, so our Facebook viewers, please get ready and help me out. You know the rules,
Please get ready,
right? People know the rules.
Kristen always gets these right. So let's see if we can stop her today. Tell me which one of these is not true. Is it A, the FDA approved AstraZeneca's Evusheld to better protect immunocompromised people? Is it B, a study showed the Pfizer vaccine antibody potency dropped nearly 1/40th against the Omicron variant? Or is it C, a recent study looking at 139 cases of blood clots from the vaccine found that they were mild cases with quick recovery? Which one of these is not true? I hope you miss it.
I would like to miss as well because I like to learn new things. All right, Facebook viewers, while you contemplate which one is the lie, I can tell you I know A is true. In fact, I have more questions about that to see exactly how that works, but that is true. C sounds very true to me. I don't know if it's exactly 139 cases, but the fact that they were mild cases with a quick recovery seems to be true as well. Meantime, a study showing that Pfizer's study or the vaccine antibody potency dropped nearly 1/40th. I'm not sure about that figure, so I think that is the lie, and I'm going to check viewers. Just give me a moment. Okay, it seems like 2/3 of you are saying B and 1/3 saying A, and I already know A is the truth. So I'm going to say B. Final answer. B is the lie.
B is actually true. We're going to get back to that and why that is not as scary and concerning as people think. C is false. It was actually in myocarditis, not in blood clots. I finally stumped our brilliant audience and anchor. But, you know, the reason why, so A, we can get to A. A is important because this is just another way to protect those who are immunocompromised. This is a longer acting monoclonal antibody in comparison to what we already had available. C, this was important, you know, because we've constantly tried to reassure people, especially parents, about these cases of myocarditis, these very rare cases that are thought to be linked to the COVID-19 vaccine. Not only do we know they're rare, but this specific study looked at 26 or so pediatric care centers, found 139 cases. 20% went to the ICU. There were no deaths. There were no serious complications with a median hospital time of 2 days. And B, you know, B is a big talking point right now, but here's the thing. When we look at these studies and we just look at antibody potency, that is not telling the complete story of the immune system. And so there's another arm of the immune system that can still protect us, that the vaccine still boosts. And what's important here is that the booster is ramping up those antibody levels to get us into a better place against not necessarily just the Omicron variant, but also Delta, which is still raging.
Right. That was tricky. And can I just give a shout out to Meryl Rojas for being the only person who got it right out of the first 20 answers that came in. Meryl, you're always on my team. Okay. Congratulations. All right, that was important to know. Since you brought up Evusheld, is that how you say it?
That is how I heard someone say it and how I'm going to persist on saying it.
Okay, so I'm just going to ask you, right? Who should use it? And is it better or worse than the vaccine? That is, would it make sense for anyone to say, I'm going to go for that as opposed to the vaccine?
It would not make sense for someone to say that they're going to go and get this long-acting monoclonal antibody instead of the vaccine unless this individual is immunocompromised and is getting this shot from AstraZeneca at the direction of a physician taking care of them. Kristen, this is really looking at people who have conditions such as cancer, where their immune system is going to be weakened to the point where the vaccine may not be able, or their body may not be able to generate those antibodies from the vaccine. This is a known thing that happens with immunocompromised patients. And so, prior we were saying, hey, they might need 4 shots of the vaccine plus a monoclonal antibody. But in this case, this is a long-acting antibody. So it's going to theoretically provide that antibody protection for many, many months to protect those immunocompromised people, which is just one group of high-risk people we should all be protecting by getting the shot and doing what we can this winter.
Okay. Barbara Ye has a follow-up to, I suppose, your 2 truths and a lie. She wants to know, in the recently vaccinated 5 to 12-year-old group, has there been any reports of myocarditis there?
Oh my gosh, I want to give a virtual high five to Barbara, because I was hoping to bring this point up. But we have about 5 million doses given out in the age group of 5 to 11, and I have not seen a single reported case of myocarditis in that age group. And this is important because even in this study of older children that we just mentioned, the 139 cases, that it's still out of millions of children. So when you see the phrase, the vaccine causes myocarditis, it's simply not true, because millions of doses have been given out and we're just not seeing a very high incidence of myocarditis. So it is still considered, and I can confidently say, it's a very rare side effect. And as we pointed out earlier, these children are recovering pretty rapidly.
Okay, great to know that. Carol Schultz has a good question. She had the J&J in April. She says, I want a booster, but I'm a little afraid of the other 2. I guess she means Pfizer and Moderna. Maybe it's because it's mRNA. She didn't specify. Would boosting with J&J be effective, is her question.
It would actually be better to boost with one of the mRNA vaccines in that case if you did get Johnson & Johnson. And this was actually proven with studies about that hybrid immunization and getting your second shot from the other one. So you know what? You got Johnson & Johnson, beautiful protection. It's great protection against severe illness or death. But to get that mRNA one, there's no reason to be afraid. The safety profile looks excellent. And if you need us to debunk any myths, just send those to Kristen and we'll do it right now.
Okay. All right. Debunking myths is all what we're about here, which is great. So I want to ask you about the Pfizer booster for 16 to 17-year-olds. Of course, the FDA just said yes to that. Of course, the CDC has to approve it. So when will those shots go into arms?
They theoretically are available immediately. And so I would anticipate we'll start hearing the first reports of people getting those shots this weekend, if not early next week. And, that was a big landmark move that happened yesterday. And I think it speaks to a few things. It speaks to the fact that we're seeing evidence of that waning immunity after about 6 months and wanting to rev up that antibody level. And you know what? We also are in the middle still of a Delta surge. And then there's the fact that scientists, public health officials want to get ahead of what can potentially happen with the Omicron variant. And so, there was a lot of headlines saying yesterday, we need a boost to protect against the Omicron variant. Yes, that's part of it, but we also need to realize that 99% of the strains right now in the United States and possibly worldwide are still Delta.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, but can we talk about whether the 16 to 17-year-olds really need the booster? Because we've heard a lot about how younger people, have better immunity. They take to the vaccines more readily. So let's just talk about that. Do they actually need it?
Kristen, that's an excellent question. And, to be completely honest, and I'm being completely transparent right now, it is hard for me to go out and say, look at all the real world data right now showing of teens who have had just 2 doses of the vaccine versus those who are being boosted. And the ones who are being boosted have a lower rate. We just don't have the data yet to actually say that. We have the data to show this in older age groups between 18 and 55. And I think it's important to recognize the fact that if antibody levels are going down, and we potentially have more cases surging or teens are going back to school, we have enough of that real world evidence in older age groups and lab groups to say it's a good idea. But I encourage any parents out there to actually ask these questions and say, does my teen actually need this booster based on his or her individual situation? And I would recommend it for anyone out there especially anyone whose teens are potentially being exposed or any teens with underlying medical conditions. But, Kristen, the other thing that we can get into later is the fact that it's probably time to drop the term booster and just to call this the 3rd shot.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of talk right now about 3 shots actually becoming the definition of fully vaccinated, right? You expect that to become the case very soon officially?
I do, and I think right now it's important that we still consider 2 doses to be fully vaccinated, because those 2 doses are still what's preventing the really severe illnesses. But this might fall into a lot of other vaccines we give out, and to everyone in the world. That's actually a 3-dose series.
Right. Okay, real quickly before we take a short break, if you get the Pfizer booster as a 16 or 17-year-old, it's the same dose, right? And again, it's 6 months after your original shots were completed, right? Yes and yes?
It is, yeah. And that timing is important.
Okay, we'll take a short break on the air. When we come back, another round of Two Truths and a Lie with Dr. Alok Patel. In the meantime, if you want, you can join us on Facebook Live, where we're answering your questions. All right, Dr. Patel, some good questions for you. Robert says Dr. Gandhi had recommended a Moderna booster for the J&J folks. Yeah, I mean, you think Moderna, Pfizer, what do you think?
Look, I'll be completely honest. If you want to have the optimal response, Moderna, according to lab evidence, is the best. And I even tried. I got Pfizer, and I was boosted with Pfizer, and I tried to go get a Moderna shot, and I couldn't find one because of supply issues. So the important thing, I mean, I had to wait I think I had to wait a month in order to find a Moderna shot in the Bay Area, or I had to venture outwards. And so what I'll openly say to people is get what shot is available to you, because the difference is going to be marginal on the individual level if people around you are actually getting boosted. So that's important to know.
Okay.
But yeah, if you want to compare numbers, yeah, Moderna is technically what's showing a better response.
Okay. Fan is saying that I got my Pfizer booster and it knocked me out for 2 days, side effects, all that, headaches, chills, way worse than my second Pfizer shot back in April. He's wondering if that's normal.
I have actually heard this from several people. I was just talking to, an ABC News producer. What up, Douglas? Who, and I was talking to him about the fact that I've run into so many people. Director, sorry, I called you producer. And, I was telling him, I was like, I've heard from so many people who felt nothing after the booster, and others who were like, oh my gosh, it really hit me hard. And, I would remind people that those responses, those side effects are still normal. There's still that immune reactogenicity. They're nothing to be alarmed about, and they will go away. That's your immune system revving up and making those antibodies.
Okay. Dr. Patel, we have 20 seconds. So do you know how myocarditis presents in terms of symptoms?
I would look out for things like chest pain, trouble breathing. There's some more insidious symptoms like fatigue. Children saying that they just kind of feel run down. But usually that chest pain, trouble breathing, things that your heart is responsible for.
Okay.
Those are the real presenting symptoms.
Thank you. Dr. Patel coming back in a few seconds. And we have a little breaking news before we come to you.
Sorry, Douglas.
All right, we have some breaking news out of Antioch. One of you on Facebook actually asked about why a helicopter is overhead. This is why. We're giving you a live view from Sky 7, where a man is barricaded inside a house near James Donlin Boulevard and Hummingbird Drive. A witness reports hearing multiple gunshots there. We see the FBI on the scene, as well as Antioch Police and the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office out there. The same witness says law enforcement showed him a drone that it says the man shot down. There's a huge response, and several streets are currently blocked off. You can probably tell there. Police are being told, they're telling people, that is, to stay in their homes and lock their doors and windows. We will bring you updates online as well as on ABC 7 News at 4. All right. Meantime, we're back with ABC 7 News special correspondent Dr. Alok Patel, who has another round of Two Truths and a Lie for us.
Yes, I do. Everyone tell us, which one is not true? Is it A, 2 hippos at a zoo in Hamburg, Germany, recently tested positive for COVID-19, the first reported cases in this species? Or is it B, 60% of respondents to a recent survey think too many people use religion as an excuse to avoid vaccine mandates? Or is it C, genomic surveillance has ramped up and now 50 to 60,000 samples are sequenced each week in the United States?
All right, folks, I need a little help. Keep this up. I know B is true. I was going to ask you about that. So that is true. A and C. So, folks, which one do you think it is, the lie, A or C? I think this comes down to numbers. I'm not sure about 50 to 60,000. That sounds on the low side to me, but I don't know. And I don't know if it's the first cases of the hippos. So, okay, so folks, I'm totally calling the Lifeline Friends thing. So let's see what you got on Facebook. Okay, so at least 3 people said C, and at least a couple of names I recognize as being well-read viewers. So let's just say C is the lie.
C is actually true.
Folks,
and you know, and at
wait,
least
stop. Robert, Randy, Philip, you disappoint me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That was my inclination too. So thank you so much. But we're about to learn something altogether from Dr. Alok Patel. All right.
Yeah, you're gonna learn that I got really mean with these answers because I was trying to finally stump our brilliant audience. These hippos were in a zoo in Antwerp, Belgium. Yes, that is a dumb thing that I changed, but that's okay. You know, and you know, someone might say to me like, that's a funny fact, like, and kind of random, but it's important to recognize that this virus is actually able to infect certain animals. And there is a theory out there. Again, this is a theory. There's no evidence not yet evidence behind it. There is a theory that Omicron may have mutated by jumping into an animal and then reinfecting a human. So, hey, some animals can still catch coronavirus.
Right.
B is based on a recent survey. And, you know, 10% of people said that they believed that their religion was a reason to avoid a vaccine mandate, where 60% of people said, hey, big excuse. And at least we're talking about this, and it's ramping up so we can catch more cases of Omicron to get a better sense of how contagious it really is.
Okay. By the way, everybody, you know we're kidding, right? I'm never disappointed in you. I was disappointed in myself. But Dr. Patel did get tricky on us, but that was important and interesting. So thank you very much. I want to ask you about this. Right? No, that's all right. You know, that's cool. Mean once in a while. This is new this week. Alameda County, in fact, just reverting back to indoor mask mandate, even in gyms or offices where they can ascertain that everyone is vaccinated. They didn't cite Omicron. They cited rising Delta cases. Look, does this make sense, or is this an overreaction?
You know, off the first glance, it kind of did strike me as an overreaction or an abundance of caution. Now, you know me, that I would like to err on the side of caution, especially as we head into something like winter. But I think it's important, Kristen, that we show some evidence and that there's some contact tracing to show where these cases really were rising in Alameda County. Is it people that were actually going to gyms who were vaccinated, or is it people? Was it a super spreader event, or is it people at home? And I think it's important to actually make that distinction before we just have blanket messages saying we all must be masked even while even if you show proof of vaccination. Because I think one thing that can happen, one thing that has happened, is people misinterpret this and say, well, hey, the vaccines don't work if I still have to wear a mask after. So I think that's important to address.
Yeah, and especially if different metrics are used, where one county uses hospitalizations and another uses just infections and cases. So uniformity definitely would, you know, make it more clear to people. Okay, I want to move on because talk about Omicron latest. 43 infections apparently of Omicron in 22 states in the first 8 days of December. I'm sure you saw that. Is there any new evidence in there that may suggest the variant causes milder infections?
There is evidence, and I actually have I have some of it written right here. You know, what's important to understand too is that people will see this and say, well, it's spreading. Yes, there is a thought that it is more contagious, as we mentioned, but there is a lot of evidence, not only in the United States, but also in South Africa, that these cases are presenting with more mild symptoms, and they're not causing a more severe disease course than Delta. Important to recognize that a lot of these cases are in people who are young, people who are also previously vaccinated. So it's entirely possible that that's adding some protective benefit. So we can't jump the gun and say that altogether, because we just don't know what would happen if older or other high-risk individuals were infected. But this is reassuring news. It's also a better strategy for the virus to be more contagious and actually cause less severe illness, because it makes it easier for the virus to spread.
Oh, right. It's got more staying power that way too, right? Okay, so you have said if you're vaccinated and you're boosted, you don't really need to be changing your holiday plans. Do you still think that, Dr. Patel?
If everyone around you is as well, that's the asterisk, you know, because yes, if you yourself are vaccinated and boosted, I'm like, great, like you have all the reason in the world to feel like you are well protected against severe illness, but I would have a conversation with the people around you also. You know, and that's just the responsible thing for people to do, especially because, you know, I can't tell you there's a 0% chance that someone who's vaccinated could potentially spread this. It's a lot more rare to do that. But it's important that you just have that dialogue, get some antigen tests if you need to, if you're with someone else who's high risk, and just be considerate about it. But yes, around the holiday table this year, we will be partying like it's 2019.
That's right. Yeah, definitely 2019. Dr. Alok Patel, thank you so very, very much. You know you're a big star to us. However, we got to get you out of here for a movie producer. That's what we have coming up.
I will kick myself out for that.
Okay, kick yourself out. We do have a movie producer coming up from Petaluma to talk about his new Netflix movie that was filmed right here in Northern California. Be right back. All right, everybody. You will love the segment coming up in just 2 minutes, so I'll see you in a couple. Enjoy this lovely view of the Bay Bridge. Sonoma County is starring on the small screen in a new Netflix holiday film, California Christmas. City Lights will be released next Tuesday, and it was shot in Petaluma. That's also the hometown of the producer, aliafshar. He is joining us now to talk about his project. Ali, thanks for your time.
Hey, thank you for having me. Nice to meet you.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. This is the sequel, right?
It is. It's the second one. We did the first one in Petaluma as well. It was one of the first movies during COVID to be shot in California, and we actually shot it on my ranch in East Petaluma. So we took a lot of precautions, shot it. Netflix picked it up, and it became the #1 movie in the world on Netflix for almost 2 weeks straight. So they asked for a sequel, so we made it.
And here it is. I can't wait to get into how you managed to keep things safe while shooting during the pandemic. But I want to ask real quickly, for those who didn't see the first one, what is this about, and what is the central story here in the sequel?
Okay, so the central story is about a billionaire family and this rich kind of playboy guy that gets the, he gets the task to have to go and buy this last piece of land from this ranch, from this family, buy their ranch. So it can be like a huge piece, kind of think like almost like an Amazon. Mm-hmm. And they just needed a piece of land. So he gets there and he just realizes the family, the mother's dying of cancer, and he falls in love with the farmer's daughter. It's a little bit, story's been told before, but she really shows him what he can do. And he kind of, you got to see the movie, but he kind of acts like the ranch hand because he's mistaken identity. And then, and the sequel is the flip side. He has to go back to San Francisco, and she joins him with the, rooftop parties, and we shot at the Fairmont and helicopters and Ferraris. And she gets now, this country girl goes into the lifestyle of the rich and famous.
So you shot in both Petaluma and San Francisco, right? I mean, San Francisco is used to getting Hollywood attention, but not a lot of films are shot in Petaluma. But you grew up there. So how did you decide that this was the right setting for the story?
Well, a lot of our movies have been shot in Petaluma. We've had 17 movies out of my last 20 shot in Petaluma since 2015. Yeah, we've had, with Oscar winners, we've had some really fun movies out there. But when we moved to America back in 1979, 80, I'm from Iran. during the Iran hostage crisis and the revolution, we moved to the small town of Petaluma. Back then, it was really small. And, we actually made a movie about it. It's called American Wrestler, starring Oscar winner John Voight. I played my own uncle in it, William Fichtner. It's a really great little movie we did. It was the movie that landed us here at Warner Brothers. I'm actually at my offices here in Warner Brothers speaking to you, but they saw that little movie and it did so good. And that was one of the first ones we did in Petaluma. So I love Petaluma because the community is great. The whole area, we shot in Tamales, Santa Rosa, Petaluma, Napa. We've shot a bunch of movies. The resources we have, you get everything from the coast to the hills, and you're just, 40 minutes from the city. So you can get a lot of different geography, and it works for me. And I love just hanging out with my family and friends and stuff too. So it's a little selfish, but we built a little studio there now almost. So we've been lucky to have that as a backdrop for 17 of our films.
Wow, that's great. So tell us, going back to shooting this during the pandemic, both parts 1 and 2, now this movie, what kind of precautions did you take?
Oh, well, there was a lot. It was a lot scarier in the first one because obviously we were one of the first people out. But you have regular state and county guidelines, but then you also have the union guidelines and just common sense guidelines, if you will. So you could only have like 10 people on set at a time. Everybody was getting tested every 2 to 3 days. You were getting your temperature taken when you come to set, when you leave. We call him COVID Matt. He's like Matt Thomas, if he's watching this. He's a former Petaluma police officer that became our on-set monitor to make sure you almost like walk in a room one way, walk out the other way. And like, if you have to reset the stage, everybody leaves. The set decorators come on, they move stuff, wipe down, they leave, you go back on. Everyone's masked unless you're an actor. Actors did their own makeup, touch-ups and stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's really, really specific. And we actually got a scare. We had to shut down for 4 days during the first one. One of the batches came positive, but then we retested and it was actually a false positive. But for 4 days, we were like, okay, we're shutting down. Because back in June of 2020, it was scary. It was like, whoa,
for
it was
sure.
a whole new thing happening. Well, but this one was a lot easier. The sequel was a lot easier to do.
I know in your films you've sought to bring what you know and love about Petaluma to the audience. How would you describe to people what the charm of that town is?
It's small town America, but it's still connected. You're not in the middle of nowhere, flyover state somewhere in the Midwest. And I love my friends and family in the Midwest, but it's like you're in another, very small, charming, everybody knows each other. It's salt of the earth. Very blue collar, but you're like an hour away from, Silicon Valley.
All right, well, you will get to see Petaluma featured front and center in a California Christmas City Lights, which aliafshar produced. Don't go away, Ali. If you join us on Facebook Live, we're going to ask you about also being an actor in the film. We'll be right back.
Great.
So is this a cameo, or do you actually have a pretty significant role in it, too?
I'm the third lead. I'm the butler.
Oh.
So I'm the executive producer and the butler in the movie. I am Joseph Van Asten, the lead character, played by Josh Swicker.
Yep.
I'm his butler.
Gotcha. And the butler did it? No, don't tell us. Don't tell us. No spoilers.
Right.
No, it's
different kind of movie, but yeah.
Yeah, different kind of movie. So tell us, what are some of the local, I guess, for the locals, favorite hangouts, watering holes, or landmarks that appear in this film?
Okay, in this one, so the sequel, we shoot a bunch of it at Larry Peter, which is the Spring Hill Dairy up in Petaluma. The first one we shot it all over town, but this one, it's a Spring Hill Dairy, but then she quickly goes to San Francisco, so it's a lot of San Francisco. But we did shoot at the Phoenix Theater in Petaluma, if you want to stay specific with Petaluma. Mm-hmm. We shot at the Phoenix Theater in a couple different areas like private people's homes and whatnot, and my own ranch on Old Adobe Road. But San Francisco was fun. It was really cool to be at, the presidential suite at the Fairmont on that rooftop and, shooting with like Ferraris on Lombard Street and helicopters and under the Golden Gate Bridge. So that was really, really cool because we're usually kind of out of San Francisco. We're north. So this was really cool to be back in, actually be able to go into the city and shoot.
Well, this seems really amazing, especially for Bay Area folks to be able to see this. So congratulations to you. It comes out, what, Tuesday? A California Christmas City Lights Tuesday?
Thursday, the 16th on Netflix, worldwide.
Okay. I thought I saw the 14th somewhere, but okay, it's now the 16th. Thank you so much.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, it's the 16th. The 14th is the premiere.
Got it. Okay. Well, Congratulations. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, folks, that was really amazing to hear. Excited to see it. Okay, coming back out shortly, folks. Yes, I'm multitasking. All right. Thank you so much for joining us on this interactive show, Getting Answers. We'll be here every weekday at 3 on air and on live stream answering your questions. World News Tonight is next. Bye-bye.